Good morning, everybody. We have a very interesting show for you prepared, where we will be doing a bit of role-playing today with the two gentlemen on stage over there. This will be particularly difficult for us, because normally we exchange quite a bit of a dialogue, but now we have instant translation going on as well. So we're going to try to do this in a slightly slower way so that the translators can follow us carefully. But if we do get very excited in the demo, bear with us. We may go a little faster sometimes. Just wanted to get that out there early. Before we start, I need to say thank you to one of the sponsors of that red machine you see there in front of my guys. The entire demonstration that we are running today is built on a platform that, I gotta turn this thing on. That Intel has helped us to create. So the red machine with the fancy antennas up there, everything we show you today is running on that machine there. It's composed out of 4 little NUCs, as they called, from Intel, with just some fancy other hardware that we put in there. But if you see anyone from Intel, say thanks to them, or take a picture with it if you can. That'd be great too. So what are we going to do to you? Well, we spoke internally about what is it that we want to communicate with a demonstration instead of slides. And we said, well, there's 3 things really that we believe when you talk about digital transformation that we should address as a company. And the first thing that we really wanted to address in that is, how do you actually first gain control over your existing IT assets? Because if you can't control what you have today, it'll be very difficult to make use of it for the changes and new things you want to do tomorrow. So we'll address that a little bit as we go through the demonstration today. The second thing we wanted to really highlight is, how can I leverage the assets that I have? So turning something that today is not generating value for you into something that is generating value for either your customers or partners in that sense. And ultimately, we wanted to show you how some of Red Hat's technologies can help you to think about disruption. Disruption either for yourself, and this is something I highly encourage every company to think about. Before someone else does it, it's probably smarter if you're the one trying to disrupt yourself. So we'll show you some things around that, but also how can you use Red Hat's technologies and services to potentially disrupt another market. And we'll give you a pretty interesting example of that as well as part of the demonstration. But those are the 3 things we really wanted to highlight as what can Red Hat do for you when we have digital transformation. Now you might be wondering, why am I wearing the red hat and they are not? The main reason for that is, when we do the role play in our demonstration, we will assume the roles of a fictitious company. So I will become somebody else. I'm not Frank Feldmann when I play this. And when I'm doing the Frank Feldmann, or the role-playing part, I will not be wearing the red hat. When we explain to you how the Red Hat technologies have created the solution, we will wear the red hat. So you'll know how we're switching between the role play and being Red Hatters, okay? So I'm going to put this away now, because we're going to start our role play. It's never been this far in my demo. I'm going to get some good exercise today. All right. So the company that we have created for this demonstration is called Destinasia. We kind of figured it was a cool name for our region to have. It's a travel company, as you would have imagined by the name. And you're going to meet 3 individuals of that company. First, you're going to meet Frank Flymore, which is me, the CEO of the company. And then you're going to meet those 2 gentlemen there, the head of infrastructure on the left, Kingsley, and then the head of application development and architecture, Vishal, Ghariwala. They're going to be playing these roles specifically. Now, everything we show you today is running on the machine there. There is no smoke and mirrors, so things can go wrong. If it does, just bear with us. It's real. And most importantly, I think for you to understand, we are not using anything that we don't ship today. There's no future product version or capabilities that you cannot acquire from Red Hat today already in this demonstration. Okay? So with that, let's get going. So my name is Frank Flymore. I was employee number 1 of Destinasia. I'm the CEO of what's a traditional travel company that has grown over the years into a global enterprise. We have retail outlets throughout the world where people can still go and walk in to book travel. We also do web bookings, as you can imagine. And we offer the essential travel services. You can book flights, you can book hotels, you can book cars, and then some related aspects to that in our company. Lately, business has not been going so great for my company. You'll see some Twitter feedback here that we recently received. And the last one in particular is kind of concerning. Donald Trump wanted to go to the G20 summit. He used my company to book us travel, and we kind of doofed it up, which is not good, right? And he fired us. So we're kind of upset about that. But this sort of feedback obviously is not good for a company like ours to receive. Business itself is really impacted. I mean, the flight bookings that we have dropped by 30% since last quarter. People are going to other travel portals. My hotel bookings are also down, and frankly speaking, I can't say the same for my expenses. Unfortunately, my expenses do not go down because the infrastructure and the software that I'm running, I have to pay for all of those things in an upfront manner. I can't scale them easily up and down with my cost structures. So I have a problem. As a CEO, I need to address this, and I need to address it quickly. Okay? So one of the things we decided to do is send a couple of our core team members from both the business and from the IT department to what we call the Red Hat Open Innovation Lab. So Vishal and Kingsley actually attended that. And I would like to know whether they actually learned something in that innovation lab. Shall we ask them? Yeah? Okay. Guys, what did you learn in the innovation lab?
So Frank, we learned a lot of things at the Innovation Lab, and one of the things that we really wanted to sort out was for Destinasia to provide a mobile channel to its customers and partners, because today mobile bookings are not possible. And guess what? In just a couple of weeks, we came up with a wonderful prototype with the Red Hat employees at the Open Innovation Labs, and it just took us, a couple of weeks.
Really?
That's
you build
right.
a prototype in a couple of weeks?
That's right.
You mean it's a working app then, right?
It is a working app.
All right. I'm interested. I think that's why you're my app dev guy, aren't you?
Thanks for the word of confidence, Frank. And I think, I just can't wait. So, Kingsley, shall we show Frank and everyone in the audience what we have come up with?
I'm proud of it. Go ahead.
Ta-da! So this is what we came up with. So, in the past, our customers and partners need to go to different websites to book for flights, hotels, and cars. And what we have done is to create a single mobile application that will allow them to do all these three things at the same time with a mobile web browser. So Frank, why don't I make a sample booking to show you how this application actually works?
That would be great.
So let's do that. Let's book a flight, a hotel, and a car. And let's make this booking under your name. Towards the end of this year, the 23rd. And I think we will be in Seoul for another conference like this. So let's do the trip from Seoul back to Singapore for all three of us for 5 days.
Can't we go for a bit longer? How about 10 days?
10 days? We got work to do, Kingsley, so 5 days is all that we can
I
take.
agree with Vishal.
Our holidays are always too short.
Yeah. So once I have filled all these fields, I click this, and what I get is all the options that are available for me. And I'm just going to stick with the defaults. Click here. And what happens is this request goes to our backend travel systems and comes back with a confirmation. So you'll see, the confirmed itinerary with all the costs. And if we have qualified for any type of discounts, you'll see it here. So you can see we receive a 15% discount for our flight booking, and similarly 15% for hotels. We didn't get anything for cars. One of the best things about this is that you can use this on the go. All you need is just a mobile device and a web browser. So what do you think of that, Frank?
I think the discount is pretty high, actually. I'm not sure I agree with that, but the mobile app looks great.
Yeah. We can change that very easily. I'll show how to do that later.
Okay. Well, it looks great. It's super easy to book. I have to say, this is pretty impressive for in a couple of weeks. But I was kind of surprised, with the 3 things at once sort of booking that you're able to do there. If I remember correctly, our travel portal means I need to first click for hotels and then for my car and then for my flights, not in once. Did I see that correctly? Did you guys do something new there?
Wow, Frank, that was really very observant of you, and I think that's why you are our CEO.
Thank you.
Actually, Frank, we had to do 2 things, 2 important things. First of all, we containerized all of our back-end travel systems. And secondly, we created a brand new integrated flow for booking travel. Now, these are all very long, abstract terms. So why don't I show you exactly what we did, all right? So what you see here is a brand new flow that we have developed, a graphical flow to book travel. Now, whenever I submit a request from the mobile app that you saw just now, the request will go to this flow. It starts off here, all right? It comes to this box that you see here. And then the request will just go to some of these other boxes. And what's happening here is the message is inspected, it's aggregated, and finally, based on the choice that you have made, it will be sent to one of these 3 boxes, which are basically our underlying travel systems.
So
it can go
in parallel, it executes them now?
That's right.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is that each of our back-end travel systems are running within their own individual containers. So during peak seasons, like, for example, Christmas time, when we see a sudden surge in hotel bookings, we can independently scale just the hotel container that you see right over here. So that gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of scaling when we have a surge in requests coming in.
Very
Good stuff?
All right.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, Destinasia is using the Red Hat OpenShift container platform to containerize its various back-end travel systems. Now, OpenShift is a container application platform that enables businesses to build quickly, provision efficiently, and get their apps to market faster. When you choose OpenShift as your development platform, your developers can choose their preferred tools and languages to build and deploy their apps in a self-service manner. And all of these apps can be scaled automatically as per the demands of the business. Now, we all know that whenever we are creating applications, we have to integrate a couple of these back-end applications to fulfill a particular business use case. And integration is not easy. It's complicated, and it takes a lot of time. That is where technology like the Red Hat JBoss Fuse integration platform can really help you. It provides you with standards integration patterns that you'll use to do common integration functions. So your developers don't need to write all this integration code from scratch. And what that means is that your developers' productivity is improved greatly, and you can get your apps to market, much faster. Now, the booking flow that I showed you just now with all the boxes, each of the box in there is actually, an integration pattern.
That's pretty incredible, Vishal. I'm really impressed. So our monolithic systems are now easily integrated, right? Based on containerizing, I think you called it?
That's right.
That's very cool. But didn't we do this stuff in the past already? I remember signing checks for, what was it called, service bus technology, or from IBM or wherever it came from. But I thought we did this stuff a long time ago. What's so different about this?
So you're right, Frank. That's how we used to do things in the past. Now, when we were at the Open Innovation Labs, the Red Hat folks introduced us to this new cool technology, API management. So, with API management, we actually are able to do things very differently. We have all of our backend travel systems that are written in different languages. We have actually exposed all of them using REST APIs and a common data format, which is JSON. So, while all of our underlying systems are written using different languages, now they are communicating using a common protocol and common data format. So, essentially, we have made all of our backend system speak the same universal language.
Right. So it's like everybody in this room would be speaking Dutch suddenly.
That's right.
That would be great. All right. That's fantastic. But future integrations that way would be a breeze for us.
Absolutely.
Which is great, I think. But I think agility is the word that comes up with this type of tech for us, right? It really gives us ability to respond quickly and change integrations and so forth.
Absolutely. So this is a great technology, but there are a lot of other cool benefits that I will be sharing with you later on during this presentation. So
all right, I look forward to that. I look forward to it. So I like the mobile app, but let's get back to that discount because that bothers me. That 15%. I don't know about you guys in the audience, but that was a basic booking, and as the CEO, I don't want to give discounts like that just on any booking. So how did that work? Did you guys put some app in front of this to calculate all the different travel that they build? I'm curious.
Wow, Frank, now I know why you are the CEO. You are able to figure all these things out. We didn't expect him to do that.
Very smart.
Very, very smart. So Frank, to just summarize the challenge that we have today, one of the major challenges, we are not able to respond to all these ad hoc and seasonality changes in our business. It's travel business, so things change very quickly. We can't capitalize fast enough. Red Hat suggested that, in order for us to be more agile, we have got to incorporate a business rule management system as part of our overall application architecture.
Business rules, what?
Business rule management. So why don't I show you what I mean by that?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Click one more.
So let's do that, Kingsley.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, so what I have done is to externalize all of the business rules for giving out discounts and promotions into this user interface that you see here. As you can see, it looks very friendly, almost like an Excel spreadsheet, and you don't have to write any code to define your rules. You'd use this particular interface. So I have defined some rules, and let me just go through some of the business rules that I have captured here. So there are three sample rules here. So first rule, it's defines for all the flights out of Singapore to any of these destinations here. If you make that booking, you'll be entitled for a 10% discount on your flights. We have another rule right below it, a long stay rule, all right? So if you're going to stay in a hotel for 15 or more nights, we want to give you more incentives, right? So you get a 20% discount for your hotels.
You see, I see. We should have stayed longer.
We should have stayed longer,
got a bigger
right?
discount.
10 days, right?
Yeah.
But we have work to do, Kingsley. And finally, the flight and hotel combo, where if you make any flights from any of the cities, including Seoul, to Singapore, stay a minimum of 2 nights, you get 15% off your flights and hotels. And that's why when I did the first booking, we got 15% off, right?
And nothing for cars.
Yeah, and you said it's too much. So we can easily go here and change it. You don't like 15, we can do 10. And if, let's say, in future we want to introduce brand new rules, it's as simple as adding a new row in an Excel spreadsheet. Just click Add, specify it, deploy it, and everything is live. It's as simple as that.
So we're no longer coding this, it's externalized.
It's all externalized
That's great.
into this UI.
And it looks very simple. Even I could do this.
even you can do that. That's right.
Very good.
So, folks, by using Red Hat's JBoss business rule management system, Destinasia is able to respond to its business challenges in a very agile manner. Now, business rule management system allows you to externalize all your hard-coded business rule from your application code to an external user-friendly interface. Now, what this means for you is that you are able to, first of all, easily edit existing rules and also introduce new rules faster and more easily. You also get better visibility. You know exactly what the rules are running today in your production environments because it's a very simple Excel interface. So you can understand what these rules are. So all in all, you get a lot of control over all the business rules that are truly driving your business.
I think this business logic external thing is great for responding to seasonality. If we see something happening, we can now change the rules of our business without having to code anything. I like that a lot. Changing things on the fly. Frank Flymore likes that. I bet that will make people fly more. I am, however, a little worried about our infrastructure because all this changing is interesting. But I remember when Chinese New Year came last year, what was it, 50 servers we had to put quickly into production to deal with the volume there. And it took us 6 weeks to put that together. Kingsley, your team was pretty busy with that. Did you guys spend any time with the Red Hat team looking at how infrastructure can become a little more agile, I guess?
Well, Frank, I'm really glad you asked because we spent a lot of time talking about infrastructure with Red Hat at the Open Innovation Labs. You see, with Vishal's new distributed container architecture, we can actually split the data and the rules and the actual logic all over the place. We can put it anywhere. So we can use common public clouds like Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, and Google Cloud Platform, and we can put the data, apps, and rules in separate places. So we can actually scale it like that. But we can adapt in an agile way because we're using the containerized architecture, which lets us put these containers based on OpenShift across the platforms. You see, Frank, it's really all about standards. You know, the shipping industry, which we know for many years has used the standard container format. And that's good because every single shipyard, the docks, the trains, the trucks, they all use and expect the same containers, right? So if there's a spike in deliveries and a lot of containers coming in, they're able to handle that volume very efficiently. And this is a good thing. So now we can do the same thing with our applications. By making them into containers, we can distribute the containers across various platforms, various footprints.
So we put more trucks on the road if we have higher load and we...
You got it. Exactly.
Like that.
We're much more agile and flexible. But there's an even better part of this, Frank. You see, when we have less traffic, we can actually discard some of the infrastructure. So in quiet periods, like between the two holiday seasons, we can switch the servers off, and this will save us a lot of money. I know you're going to be happy about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, lesser discounts, saving money. This is starting to go the way I want it to go. All right. Is my clicker off? Or? Oh, okay. I have to say, though, this kind of sounds too much like a sales pitch. You know, I get the feeling, is this too good to be true? Are you sure this is going to work? Because you're telling everybody here it will.
Well, I'm very sure because now that we've been working with Red Hat, they've shown us. And let me give you an example of how this is going to work.
All right.
So I'm going to switch over to another demo here. And here I'm going to show you, this is the cloud management platform from Red Hat called CloudForms. And what this view gives us, a default view, is an overview of all of our infrastructure. So we can see all of the various systems running, different operating systems. We can see the network consumption. We can even see which guest OSs take up the most space. But let me draw your attention to the compute. And this is where we run the applications, like the car and the flight and the hotel booking systems. So, for instance, in the clouds, if I look at our providers, we've got a list here. If I look at the list here, you'll see that we've got Amazon, we're using a bit of Amazon, we're looking at a bit of Azure, Google, and we're even experimenting with OpenStack now. So drilling down into Amazon, for instance, if I look at this, it shows us where we're actually running the systems, what availability zones, and I think you'll find this view very easy to see. This is a topology view, and if I clean it up a little bit with display names, you can see that in Amazon, we have various regions. So there might be a region in Korea, or in the US, East Coast, and so on. You can see we're running some containers here in the US East, right? Now, another part of the compute is the infrastructure part. This is our on-premises. And in that domain, we've got various providers. You might recognize Hyper-V and Red Hat Virtualization, but I know this one always gets your attention, Frank. That's VMware.
Oh, yeah, man. It gets my attention with procurement.
Well, let me show you some good news about that. This is a display of our VMware use, and you can see that the graph has dropped off very dramatically in the last few days because coming back from Red Hat, we've managed to switch off a lot of our VMware, which I know you're going to be happy about, cost savings, and we've moved things into OpenShift. Isn't that great?
That is fantastic. Keep going.
So the next time you play golf with a guy from VMware, you can say...
Very different conversation. I like it.
Exactly. All right, the last part of the compute I'm going to look at is the containers, and this is the providers that show us what is going on in our OpenShift, the containerized applications. And if I look at that, we have Destinasia OpenShift Container Platform, and you'll see here in the dashboard that we've got a whole bunch of nodes and containers. Now, actually, Frank, these are running right now, right here in front of this audience on the Intel box. So we have 3 nodes running the containers to run the travel booking application live. All right, and if I look down at the topology of this, it's a lot more complicated, but I'll tidy it up a little bit. Switch off some routes, switch on containers, and display names.
Wow,
Let
you
me
must
make
have
it a
done
bit
this
smaller
before,
here.
eh?
Just a few times. So here's our OpenShift container platform with the 3 nodes. 1, 2, 3. Those are running right here. And for instance, Vishal's application team has been working hard on the new cars app. So if I filter that by cars, you can see that we've got a container here running on NUC number 1. We've got another cars container running here. So you see how it distributes the containers all over the place.
This is how you do the scaling with more trucks on the road. We add a NUC, and we have a new truck to handle containers.
Exactly. We can
I
just
like
add
it.
more hardware. Yeah.
That's very cool.
So can we also see the hotels one from the same UI, the hotel containers?
Sure. Let me filter it down to hotels. Search that, and there you can see the NUCs running, which nodes are running the actual containers for hotels.
So this is
Nice.
application-centric views for the infrastructure team.
Exactly.
This would be great to facilitate the dialogue between the dev and the infrastructure team.
And now we're communicating much better. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
There's a final part of this that I think you'll be really interested in. That's called chargeback. In chargeback, what we can actually look at is reports for individual applications and even down to the container level about what is costing us the most amount of money. So for instance, here we can see the expenses right down to the dollar amount for the particular cars app or the containers, so we can associate that with the discounts we're giving and see if we're being cost effective and efficient.
That's good. So Fred, who runs our rewards program, we can now see the resources his team is actually using and charge it correctly. That's great.
Right, you got it. So that's that demo.
I like it.
So, folks, what you saw here is Destinasia was able to use the Red Hat technology to distribute their applications across various footprints, the physical, the virtual, private, and even the public cloud. And this is all achieved with OpenShift. Now, OpenShift lets us containerize the applications, and then it will orchestrate or manage where we put those containers dynamically. So in times of high pressure, a lot of travel bookings, we can move more containers into different infrastructures. And then in times of low pressure, low traffic, we can switch those containers off and save a significant amount of money. And we do that by using what we call providers. Each one of the clouds and the virtualization environments speaks to CloudForms, so that CloudForms becomes one place that you can see your entire infrastructure.
All right. That's pretty powerful, I think, guys. And I think I sort of get it from what I've seen. We will get instant access to our resources using this tooling, which is pretty cool. and CloudForms kind of directs where what goes, right? If I got that correctly. We can put policy sort of around that and charge back. I am very glad that you're my infrastructure guy. You paid attention over there. That's good. But one thing I am a little worried about is between the two of you, actually, there's so much knowledge that these guys now carry about my business. How do we make sure that doesn't become a bottleneck for us when we have to manage a large infrastructure like that? Have you guys talked to Red Hat about any of that?
Yep, that's very perceptive, Frank, and I know you realize that's the case, and that makes you very smart. That's why you're our CEO. You see, you're right. Red Hat taught us about something called automation, and this is fundamental, because all of the IT tasks that I do and Vishal and our teams do, we want to capture those so they can be repeated and documented so that it gets out of our heads and into somewhere that we can safely say we know what to do when something needs to happen. Okay, now this is a concept, this is a concept called infrastructure as code. In other words, we store the IT activities, the things we have to do, in code, which is in a source control mechanism. And then we can pull those out and play them back on a repeated basis. You get what I'm trying to say?
I think so.
Let me give you a little demo here, Frank. So I'm going to switch over back to another tool from Red Hat. And this is called Ansible Tower. Now, you might have heard of Ansible, Frank. It's kind of taking the world by storm. But it means capturing IT tasks in things they called playbooks. And a playbook is a set of instructions. Now, Ansible Tower lets us manage all of those playbooks and then execute them. So, for instance, let me give you an example here for the settings. Ansible Tower lets us arrange our users and our teams and the people in the company into various categories so that we can actually give them permission to execute these things. We don't want anyone doing anything. We want to make sure that the people are doing the right thing at the right time. So, for instance, in credentials here, we have access to our Amazon Web Services. And if I click on that, it comes down here and you see we've captured the secret key. This is the password that lets us use Amazon Web Services. And I know it costs a lot of money, so we want to make sure that the right people are using it correctly. Now, if I try to show that key, you'll see that it's encrypted.
Man, you scared me there, the whole room.
I'm not going to show it off, don't worry. But that encryption means that we can protect it so that we only give permission to the right people to execute it. Here's another example. If I look at Red Hat virtualization, and I scroll down here, you see we've got a password to access it, but we also have an authorization password. So let's say we wanted to give someone permission just for a short period of time to do some work. We can give them a short-term password. They can execute the IT task, and then we can remove the password.
It's like a one-time password, like you get with your banking login, that sort of thing. I like that.
Exactly the same thing.
And this works on other environments too? Like we can do this on the VMware thing to even more control it?
Yep, we can control across all of our footprints.
That's
now,
awesome.
You might ask, where are you going to execute the IT tasks on? So that's what we have something called inventories. So for instance, in the Destinasia inventory, we have NUC 2, NUC 3, NUC 4, and those are the 3 machines running right here on stage. So when we do an IT task, like deploy a new application, we do that to a specific inventory, to a specific set. Now the tasks that we do are built up in templates. So for instance, we have this car rental application, and if I edit that, you'll see that it captures the playbook, that's over here, and those are the IT instructions, and then we tell it which credentials to use and where to execute it. So why don't I just kick off, just as a demonstration here, if I come back to templates, you see this little rocket ship? I'm going to take off, and I'm going to actually launch the newest version of Vishal's team have written the car booking application.
Okay. Right now?
Right now. This is going to happen live on stage, so here we go. I'm going to execute the task, and the first thing it says to me is, where do you want to deploy the car booking application? We could put it in AWS or in Azure, but I think we're going to choose the OpenShift container platform. That's where we've been launching. So I'm going to launch that here, and let's see what happens. So here's the playbook, running all instructions. See, no hands. It's just executing it automatically out of my head into the computer. And you can see it was successful. We got a green light there. So the new version of the car booking app, which Vishal's team has been working on, has been compiled, deployed, and is now running here on the Intel app. And you can see it's deployed to all 3 NUCs, right like that. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
The last thing to point out here that you'll be really excited about is, I know you don't like getting a visit from the auditors.
No.
Well, the good
Only
news
if I
is,
have my audit log intact.
exactly. So with this, we've got a full record of every single time the playbook was run, who ran it, what permissions, what time, and what inventory it was run on. So we have a complete record of all the IT infrastructure tasks that were done. Yeah?
That's great. That's great. So the playbook is kind of like the private scribbles on a piece of paper about how to repeat a task, but then in an automated fashion, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. So folks, what you saw here were two parts of our Red Hat management portfolio. We've got the Ansible and CloudForms, but there's actually two other components I want to tell you about. Satellite allows us to keep a standard operating environment across all the platforms. Red Hat is unique in that we provide a standard operating environment, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, across all of the private, public, virtual, and physical platforms. Red Hat Insights is a new product from Red Hat, which leverages our 2 decades of knowledge and understanding to preemptively look at what might go wrong in the future. And we can give advice to our customers by telling them something that will go wrong and how to fix it before it goes wrong. And with these 4 tools working together, using Ansible as the language of execution to make all those remediation or fixes or patches or updates. And these 4 products together work very effectively to make up the Red Hat management portfolio.
I think those are some really, really powerful tools. CloudForms is kind of like the conductor of an orchestra of machines, you know, and Ansible is, I guess, like the musicians that are performing the music. I really like this is done. Hey, that tower thing, why don't we give access to our developers to that so they can just provision and run the tasks that they need without having to constantly interface with IT? Wouldn't that be the right way to go?
Well, that's true, Frank, but you see, we don't want to give everyone in the company access to everything all the time. So what we want to do is curate down into what we call a self-service catalog. So we only give the right people in the teams that need it, we give them access to things just like they want at the time. Let me give you an example of this. We've got a service catalog here that I can switch on. And if you think about all the services we have access to, there's a lot of them, we can narrow them down to a short list. So, you know, for instance, Frank, on your phone, you use the App Store a lot, don't you?
Yeah. Don't tell anyone.
So this is very easy. This makes it simple for our staff, the developers, and the operators to actually choose which thing they want. For instance, they could click once here and have the car rental app or the flight app deploy. So they could do a complete deployment of the application to test, work on it for a few hours, and then shut it down. Pretty simple, huh?
Yeah, that is very cool.
But let me show you. There's actually a very interesting one here on the bottom right. I thought you might notice this. That's Microsoft SQL Server, their flagship database. And for years,
Oracle Shop. Why is that there?
Oh, we've been using it for years. That's how we keep our data, but we've been paying a lot of Windows licenses as well. So the amazing news to tell everyone is that Microsoft has actually ported their flagship database to Linux. So Microsoft SQL Server actually runs on Red Hat Enterprise Linux now very well.
Get out of here.
It's amazing. You would
So
never
this
believe
means we could replace the Solaris machines with Linux and Oracle move it off to SQL Server.
Exactly right.
This is going to save us even more money.
Even more money. And the best part about this is that Microsoft has even put it in a container format. So it'll run alongside our car rental app.
Right?
Right on OpenShift, alongside the developer apps that Vishal's team is working on. How cool is that?
Very cool. Huh? Yeah, pigs can fly after all.
Amazing.
Very cool. So guys, I am really impressed with what you've demonstrated. This seems like, you know, it should address our seasonality challenges. Have you guys tested that? Are you confident that we can now scale up and down with this container architecture and this new management platform?
Wow, well, Frank, Vishal and I were talking earlier, and we agreed, you know, you're so smart. That's why you're our CEO, but you've obviously picked up on something very important here. What we need to do is build a test harness that we can actually make sure that all of our vendors and the systems operate effectively. So we call this a load test. We simulate a lot of traffic from a busy booking period, and we push that into the system to make sure that it's actually able to handle the load. So on the real day, when we have a lot of real customers, we don't have anything to worry about. And I can show you we've built that pretty effectively.
So that sounds great, but I hate the word simulate in that little spiel of yours. Can't we get some real users in this?
That's a great idea. And actually, if I look out here, we've got about 600 people. Right?
Real
so
enough.
Why don't we get them to participate in this? Wouldn't that be a good idea?
Yeah.
So folks, this is where we get you to participate. Believe it or not, I want you to take out your phone. Take it out right now and connect to Destinasia.io, and you can place a booking for a trip. Now, don't worry, we won't charge your credit card, but you're going to have to ask your boss if he will give you permission for time off, because my boss doesn't give me a lot of time off. So if you want to go on to that, go to Destinasia.io, and I'm going to switch over here, and you can actually see your results coming up. Now, while this is happening, let's switch that on there. Vishal, how would you like to run the load test so that we can actually
let's
split that
pump
off?
up some additional
Angelina
load.
Jolie, she's here?
Wow. Rogan Lee, Frank. So we invite you to go ahead and test this out. And while you're doing that, we're also simulating a lot of extra traffic.
Extra load.
So you can see the indicator there shows us how many people are booking. So keep booking a little bit more. This must be the first conference you've been invited to take your phone out and actually use it during the presentation. Fantastic. Look at all these names.
Wow, that's a lot of traffic.
That's fantastic. And look, the traffic is getting busy.
Yeah, it's getting busy. That
It's
machine's
busy.
going to smoke, man.
Yeah. But it's
Is it
running
getting
super
warm
cool.
over there?
Oh, it's running super cool. Good Intel
That
processors.
Intel machine just handles it, eh?
Yeah. Wow, a lot of traffic, a lot of
That's
people.
a lot of traffic.
Fantastic. There we reached our peak. So
Oh,
now we know we
nice.
can handle it. That's good.
So
If
I'm
we can
gonna-
handle that much traffic, we'll have no problem
So
next
how
Chinese
many
New Year.
users are we simulating?
Thousands.
Wow.
Thousands of
And
users.
then it's the audience as well on top.
Yes.
Nice.
So I've just switched off the load test.
You switched it
Yep.
off? Great. Well, thank you very much for your participation. Kamsahamnida. Thank you.
Very good.
Whoops. There we go.
Yeah, you went too far.
That's yours.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm pretty impressed with this. I think as a company, with these sorts of technologies, we've leveled the playing field with our competitors, right? Would you agree? We're
Yep,
getting there.
That's right.
But you guys know the travel industry is pretty aggressive, right? We've got new competitors showing up every day, locally as well as internationally. And everybody in our industry is trying to stay one step ahead, which actually means, I think for us, we have to be able to think 2 steps ahead. So, what do you think, Vishal? Did you guys have any conversations about how to move faster with the guys from Red Hat?
Absolutely, Frank. And, one of the things that, we have always been doing very effectively, right, is to innovate our services model. But, we have always overlooked the fact that we also need to, innovate our business model so that we are able to, tap into uncharted, opportunities out there. So if you recall what I talked about just now, the API management technology that Red Hat introduced to us. Now, with that, what we are able to do is to basically expose all of our APIs internally within Destinasia. Now, imagine if we expose this outside and offer it to our customers and partners as a service.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
We can connect things together, not just inside but
Inside,
also
but outside
outside.
as well.
What do you have in mind with other companies like who?
So, this logo that you have been seeing for the past, I think, 1 minute on the screen?
Yeah, I remember those guys.
One of the biggest challenges we have is AirCNC. And they have been very successful, especially in the accommodation market, because they have been able to unlock a segment which we have no access to, which is offering your personal accommodation, to others. But one of the things that they don't have today, right now, is car rentals. That's something they're not able to do today.
You seem to know an awful lot about how Air CNC works, Vishal.
Yeah, I tried them
I'm a
out
little worried
sometime
with
back.
that. I
You've
pretend
been
I didn't
using
hear
them?
that.
Yeah, I was just trying out how they do business and how they're so successful.
And you just wanted to test them out, so you
Just
tried
wanted
them?
to test. Yeah, I did some real bookings with them.
Wow.
That's not good. We'll talk about this offline. But they are a very strong competitor because, they invade the hotel business, the business that I have always been in, and suddenly there's a new segment of properties available to my customer that they can book, and I have no access to it. It's not good. I would love to find a way to play in that market. So, based on this API management stuff you were talking about, could we make a deal with them and offer our car rental service as an API integration to them? Would that work?
Wow, that's.
Amazing.
I think we just came out with a new business model, as we were just talking. I think that's why you are our esteemed CEO.
So smart.
So, let me show you how we can achieve something like that. Now, we're using this API management technology from Red Hat. This is where we have, created and, exposed all of our APIs that we have developed internally. So there are like 4 APIs today. And I'm going to specifically zoom into this, the cars API, which is something we can potentially offer to AirCNC. So a couple of screens here, the one that you see right here, this just defines technical integration of how the API is defined at the back end. Not of a lot of interest to you, Frank.
No.
But what will be very interesting to you is this section over here on application plans. This is where we can define an application plan, which is a way that you charge your external customers and partners whenever they use an API. So something like a telco plan. So you can have, let's say, a basic plan where we say that for $2,000, you can make 1,000 API calls to this cars API in a month.
So API call is like a car booking.
That's right.
Okay.
Or you can even have like an unlimited bookings premium plan. You pay us $10,000 a month, all you can eat.
No, I don't like unlimited plans.
You don't like unlimited plan? Well, I think if you look at the sort of traffic we can generate and revenue you can make, you'll change your decision. So let's look at this section on API analytics and have a look at this. This is the amount of requests that we have been able to generate, by exposing over the past 7 days, so like 496 transactions coming in. But how much does this actually translate into dollars and cents?
I was just wondering that.
Let's look at the revenue. So this is like $1,000 of additional untapped revenue that we can generate in just a matter of 7 days.
On our car service.
On the car service.
That's great.
But let us not just stop at the cars API. We have a lot of other APIs that we can actually expose to a lot of other customers and partners, and offer them as a service, and make a lot more revenue.
So how does somebody start developing this then?
Very good question. So there's another feature that this technology provides you. It's known as an API developer portal. Now this is the place where Destinasia can actually publish all of the APIs that we have created. And you can also define things like all the application plans, how much they cost, what type of support you get with it. And for your developers, you can also get all the information around integrating all these APIs with all the backend systems. Now, this is like the marketing platform, and this will help Destinasia to promote the APIs so that we can onboard new customers and partners much faster and much more effectively. So, as you can see, when you use APIs, one of the benefits that you get with APIs is that you're able to integrate your internal systems much faster, and hence you get, greater agility. Now, at the same time, when you expose your APIs outside of your organization to your customers and partners, there's a great potential of generating additional revenue. Now, to do this effectively, you obviously need to leverage on technology, such as Red Hat's tree-scale API management platform. And it allows you to do three things. First of all, it enables you to monetize all the existing APIs that you have developed, by providing you with features such as developing application plans. Secondly, you also have the ability to check and see how well your APIs are performing, how much revenue they are generating. And finally, it also gives you a platform to market your APIs to your external customers and partners so that you can easily onboard new partners and customers using this particular platform.
So we are creating a digital ecosystem for Destinasia with this.
That's right, Frank.
Wow. I really like that. That's amazing. This is really stepping ahead of where the competition is, I think, if we have that. So much better, actually, than that EDI integration technology we used to use for exchanging with our partners. Very nice. Thank you for that. So, guys, I was talking to my cousin the other day, and he's very young. He works in fintech, I think they call it.
Yep.
And he mentioned this thing called blockchain and something else, distributed ledger. And I had no idea what he was talking about, but he explained it to me. And it sounded like something that would be pretty interesting for us to include in how we do our rewards program. Having a digital ledger that can capture the transaction between a customer and a partner and exchanging points, I think that would be pretty good. And we have big problems with that, right? You guys know. Somebody books, they cancel a booking, we have to, reverse bookings. It's very messy and manual.
That's right.
So, I don't know. It sounded like something we should maybe consider doing, especially considering the amount of errors we have. And frankly speaking, unlocking the point system like that would increase the loyalty, I think, for our customers. Have you guys thought about stuff like that at all?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I call this the magic bullet to everything is OpenShift. Anything and everything is possible. And I think we can use OpenShift to do anything, right, Kingsley? It's awesome.
We've definitely, Red Hat's shown us we can solve a lot of problems.
Those Red Hat
with this.
guys really did a job on you.
Brilliant, yeah.
All right. Sorry. I think I'm out of reach, guys. Hold on a second.
Let me help you, Frank.
Yeah, if you guys can click, that would be good. Or did we press the blank button? Yeah, we did.
There it is.
We did. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
there we go. Okay. So I have a funny feeling you've already built me a prototype based on the confidence you're displaying there.
It's almost as if he knows everything.
He knows everything, right?
It's amazing.
And
that's why he's
the CEO. All right, so shall we do this final demonstration, which I think is the most exciting one.
It
I
is,
think,
and we've
especially
been
for the
working so
audience.
hard on it. It's about time we show Frank what
We've been working so
on,
hard
yeah.
that it's a bit rough. We haven't had
so
enough
it's a
sleep.
real prototype this time.
This is a real prototype. It doesn't look very, fancy.
And remember, go slow in your dialogue.
That's right. So what we have done is we have created a brand new rewards program. We call it Destinasia Dollars. And what this rewards programs allows you to do is basically, it allows you to use all the membership points that you have received with all your other programs and use it interchangeably very quickly. And transfers can be done almost instantaneously. So
Like
let me
virtual currency
it's like a virtual
from
currency.
Destinasia.
Interchangeable from Destinasia.
I like it.
So let me just connect to my account, check my points.
Whoa, Vishal, this is your account?
This is my account. These are all the companies that I do transactions with, and I get points.
But you
Wait.
already have 10,000 points on Air
We
CNC.
really need to have a conversation.
I know Air CNC is our competitor, but I need to understand our competitors, right? So I made a couple of transactions with them. Yeah. So that's why I earned like 10,000 points. And now I can use this 10,000 points with any of the other reward partners. So shall we do a live transaction?
Yeah.
So this screen shows the reward partners that you have active engagements with.
That's right.
I'm just curious, what's the entertainment club?
Entertainment Club, what's that, Kingsley?
I don't know. That's your account. I don't know what that's all about.
I don't know. It's, I think, some entertainment for adults.
Okay. Moving on.
But I tell you what, Vishal, I
But
really need
0 points.
0 points.
Zero
Very
points.
good.
0 points.
But I need some new T-shirts and some underwear. Could we go to Gracie's department store?
Gracie's department store.
Yeah.
That's right. How much points do you want me to transfer?
I think about 2,500 should
2,000.
give me some
Okay,
stuff.
so let's do that. So let's transfer from SCNC to
All right.
Gracie's. We transfer 2,000 points. We click on send. So this will take a couple of seconds because what happens now is this transaction is written on a distributed ledger, and there are some cryptographic operations that happen in the back end.
Cryptographic, but that must happen much faster because there's no intermediaries, right?
That's right, and that's why if I do a check right now and check my points for Gracie's, right, it should have transferred.
Hey, there it worked.
And this should have deducted. So this happens in real time. Now imagine traditionally today, if I want to transfer some miles from one airline to another airline, because I want to book a rewards flight, it takes 3 weeks, and by the time the transfer is done, no more flights available. Blockchain technology eliminates this because intermediaries are removed and everything is digitized and automated with
And
a
it's
smart contract.
So it's totally safe. And I think Frank will like this part. There's no fraud because it's cryptographically encased in the distributed ledger, right?
Absolutely.
That's great. So the auditors are not going to give me any trouble. I
No
love
problems.
it. I love it. That's very nice. Yeah, okay. Guys, I think this is totally amazing, this type of system, and this really is how we transform as a company and create new services. Unleashing our point system like that allows any customer of Destinasia to freely move around their points without any delays whatsoever. I think I've really seen a first in our industry actually having this type of capability. This is great work. Thank you. I have to say, this is a beautiful achievement that you have there with the Red Hat Innovation Lab team. It seems they really know their stuff from what I can tell, and they've transferred the knowledge to you guys pretty good as well. We've gained control and insights into our core infrastructure and application architecture. We have the ability to respond to the market much more effectively and scale up and down our resources when we need to. And all of that at a far better cost ratio. Frankly speaking, I'm looking forward to my next board meeting when we go live with this platform. The other thing that stands out for me was we are now able to compete with new ideas much more effectively and become an actual industry leader in the travel industry. We are no longer afraid of our competition. They will be afraid of us going forward with this type of capability. And all of that because of our partnership with Red Hat. This is very nice. I want to thank the Red Hat team and my own team here because Destinasia is now an actual digital disruptor. So guys, come on up here with me. Awesome job, thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
And together, we've made sure, is my clicker still working? Destinasia is now the best in Asia. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks. All right.